Moving on to our next session. In this panel, we delve deeper into the crucial area of industry-academia collaboration. And for this panel, I would like to invite our guests. Our first panelist, Mr. Faizul Mufti, Vice President, Information Security, Genpact. Experienced information security architect with a demonstrated history of working in the financial services industry, skilled in information security consultancy, information security governance, oversees information security architecture strategy in support of key corporate objectives, ISO 27001, and enterprise DC transformations. Our next panelist, Dr. Kavita Bhargava Gupta, Associate Professor, Rishihood University and founder, thus Dishaa. A management professor with over 20 years of experience, primarily in academics and communication, imparted training to various organizations in India, training focused on providing inputs in the area of written, oral communication, presentation, skills, gender sensitivity, and corporate communications, designed and conducted modules on various aspects of managerial communication. Our third panelist, Mr. Abhishek Gaur, Regional Lead North, NASSCOM, a seasoned industry expert driving skill development initiative for many years. And this session will be moderated by Sugandha Srivastava, Senior Analyst from CyberMedia Research. Can I request all the panelists to please come on stage and join Sugandha on the dais, please?
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, when we talk about remodeling our education system, so, industry-academia collaboration is something which is frequently discussed between the industry experts. We have been tracking it since so many years, twice in a year, and what we have found that if we talk about back in 2017, there were only 6 out of 10 students who were going for internship in the industry, and now the number has increased to 8 in every 10 who are going to industries for internships. 9 out of 10 institutes, they have MOU in place with industries. And 8 in every 10 incubation centers, they are supported by industries. But when we talk to HRs, the recruiters one, they often said that there is a skill gap in the current workforce, and this need to be relooked, worked. So how can we ensure that the industry academia collaboration remain relevant in face of rapidly changing technology and the market needs? So would you like to have this question?
Sure. And excuse me for my voice, just having a little bad throat. Now, I very actively work in this particular domain where what we talk about, Industry Academia Connect. And before I begin, I would just like to present some numbers as if how ready these days candidates are for the industry. And I'm talking about the students that are coming out of our colleges. So in a recent NASSCOM research, we have found out that last year it was around 7 million graduates which came out of the colleges. Right. And only out of those 7 million, 50,000 were industry ready. So you can understand the kind of skill gap that we currently have in our country. And somebody very well said that there are jobs without people and there are people without jobs. So our core idea as an industry body is to make sure that we bridge that gap. And to bridge that gap, it's very important that our academic partners need to open up, because I understand there are so many private universities which are getting collaborated with the industry these days. But again, another number is we have in total 50,000 colleges all across India. And most of them are located in tier 2 or tier 3 cities. So the reach that we are looking out for the industry is still not to that point. So I think this collaboration between industry and academia needs to go on to the next level. And that's what, as an industry body, we are trying to do every day.
So when we are sending our students, we look forward to having real-time, let's say, projects with the industry within our classroom sessions. Right. And you can't really throw the students into industry academia linkage suddenly. It has to grow. So maybe one visit, one case study, that's how the whole thing builds. And then finally you get an opportunity for an internship there where they figured out that they would want to be there. We can't just shove them into that space. And here is where the industry has been very supportive. We've got Bosch, we've got multiple companies, KPMG also, where we are tying up. They specifically say we would like, say, learning and development to be taught better like this or to handle this. So we are able to give them real projects. That's changing the style maybe of the linkage. There's no certification for it, but it's just a real live thing where people are interacting.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just share my personal views on this. I think what's important and rightly highlighted by Abhishek, it's all about the demand that we have in terms of, we are looking at today, the students coming out of colleges kind of not fully prepared to the practical world of the industry. How do they fit in? So it's very important for the collaboration to bring in that bridging the gap between what is needed in the industry for them to survive and also excel. I think that's the primary focus for all of us. And I think from an industry perspective, if I talk about that, we identify areas that we need in every organization. There are focus areas, right? I've been hearing since morning that there are areas around data analytics, cybersecurity, information technology, artificial intelligence is obviously something critical now. So those are focus areas for the industries and bodies to look for and then collaborate seamlessly with institutions and higher education departments to find out the right fitment in terms of the bridging the gap. I think that's more important to for us to develop the future skill set in the country.
Yeah. Faizul, my next question will be with you only. Like we have observed and seen that large enterprises or the global companies or maybe the MNCs, they are very much active in this activity, like they collaborating with the institutes. But if we talk about the small and medium enterprises, they though they are present in the ecosystem, but they are very less. So how can we make them, how can we make them to be present in this ecosystem more effectively?
Yeah, I think, see, it depends on the intent. I think, again, it goes back to how do they find out what's critical for their businesses to operate.
Right.
Being from an industry as a practitioner, I've seen and we have seen there's always a skill gap. Abhishek talked about numbers. I was reading recently, there are 4 million skill gaps identified in the coming years, 2020 by 2026, 27. What does that mean for every industry is important. So if it's a small business, enterprise business, every business has demands. So they need to figure out what are those demands and kind of go back to market, go back to institutions and education departments. We have seen the relationship flourish because engagements have given us, and I'll talk about it once we kind of come to some of those subjects. It has been kind of flourishing the journey for the students to kind of be prepared when they jump into the corporate or the industry world. They are well aware of how do they need to kind of survive and kind of make their pathway forward. That's very important, and I think small businesses need to understand that. Their leadership needs to pick up the thread. Their HR departments need to finalize how do they want to build a strong strategy for the skills they are kind of trying to acquire and work with the institutions to get that done.
You would like to add something? Yeah.
Very well said that we need to first understand what's the demand in the industry before talking about skilling, right? And just to add on to that particular thing, we have recently started an initiative along with METI, which we have called like demand-led skilling. So what we are doing as an industry body is we are going back to our member companies. Now, ASCOM represent more than 3,000 IT and ITES companies within India. And we are trying to collect the demands in terms of emerging technology for those organizations. And based on their demands, for example, we need 10,000 data analytics people in next couple of years. And what I'm talking about is the fresher hiring here. So we go back to the academic partners, we tell them that, boss, see, industry has these kind of demands, so many in cybersecurity, so many in blockchain, so many in IoT, why don't you go ahead and adopt any of our courses on Future Skill Prime? That's one of our talent portal. So when we understand the demand, the supply side becomes a little easy. But till the time we understand the demand, what the industry needs, because very well said that this is not a decade, this is a decade that we are living through at this point of time. So understanding the need, where the industry is heading, what's the new technology, how we are evolving these days, it's amazing. Normally when I go to any institute or any college, I always tell them that, boss, when you entered the college, you were using iPhone 12. When you're moving out, it's time for 15 Pro Max. So nobody is stopping, right? While you are within these walls, outside world is evolving very fast. So you need to catch up to that pace. So demand-led skilling is what we need, for the future.
Right.
Okay, on this note, let me just bring another topic to your thought. We always talk of KSA. KSA is knowledge, skill, and attitude. We did a study for R4D US, and we talked about employability in Southeast Asia. And what actually emerged talking within industry was that the first thing that you look for is the A. Skill, you can teach. Knowledge, everybody who's got that taken the exam has got it. Attitude is something which is coming from, as a child, you've been groomed, and the resilience, the ability to be able to take no for an answer and to be able to come up with it is also very important. When you put them into real life industries, you are challenging that child more for the attitude. So I don't think we should cut out that part. The skill and knowledge is, of course, the essentials, but what makes them employable, where the numbers, the gap comes in is more because of the attitude. And thanks to NEP, because we are talking about bringing this as a child in, from class 4 or 5, so the opportunities that you get, you tend to work with smaller groups also.
Okay. So, Dr. Gupta, I would have one more question since you are from their university. So, what do you think? What are the benefits and the challenges? Because you are there on the supply side. So what are your, what benefits you observe and what are the challenges at your end?
So benefit, one biggest thing is that today's generation, the alpha, I'm not even talking of Gen Z, interest span is very little, and therefore, whatever they are studying, they need to figure out what is the relevance. So the biggest benefit is the moment they go into the industry, they understand that what we are doing back home is of some of some sense. Otherwise, as we've been talking about AI and everything, we feel we know everything. But when we actually go down to work, there is a difference. That's the key benefit, and you learn how to behave, how to, what is the real work. You assume that going and working with World Bank is the best, but when you go to the World Bank, you realize your work is very little and you really are not doing much. So therefore, that reality check is one big part that they are able to figure out. The challenge is that once they go and attend that and they come back, and obviously it's difficult for the industry to give them actual work. It's a little play, like, okay, we'll see if you have the ability. No real work is actually given at initially. So when they come back, they already are too confident that, oh, we've been to this place and we've done everything. So softening that later is very difficult for us as academicians because with their connects or with whatever they do get good reviews and they come back, and it's a challenge again to sell them to the industry.
Okay. Abhishek, would you like to add something? Being from industry side, what the benefits and challenges you see when it comes to collaborate with the academics?
See, the problem is not today, the problem is age old. Changing anything to a big level is not that easy, right? So what happens is when we go to the colleges, we tell them about Future Skill Prime. The main question is why a student would, take on some extra work. Very correctly, Dr. Gupta said that they're already involved into so many things, we cannot stuff more on the table. But at the same time, we need to understand that skilling is part of, or the technology is part of every domain right now. Few years back, it was like, educational industry, healthcare industry. Education has become edtech. Healthcare has become health tech. Finance has become fintech. So technology is part of every domain these days. So if you don't get yourself catch up to those, digital awareness, I think you will be behind in the race. So the most important thing which academic institutions should understand, that adoption is very important. Until and unless we are open to adopt something new, and of course, I would not say to the colleges, those are located in tier 1 or tier 2 cities, but we are talking about skilling at scale, right? How can we give benefit to the students to every corner in the country, right? And the second challenge that I see is the mobilization of those students, right? Most of these students want a job in their hometown, which is practically not possible. Right. So at the same time, we need to develop hubs in some smaller cities, so the mobilization part can be taken care to a certain extent. Number 3, that I think the most challenging part here is the presence of infrastructure, right? For the colleges I'm talking about, the colleges I'm dealing with are not that good in terms of money, I would clearly say. So what happens is, we keep on doing this exercise with our member companies, we get some CSR funds, we set up labs in the remote areas in those colleges. Fine, the lab is set up now. What about the bandwidth? They're not getting proper bandwidth to use those labs. So that digital content that we have is not that easily accessible to them. So there's a lot of work that we need to do at the ground level before we start saying that in which domain we need to do skilling, which domain we need to get jobs, demands from the industry. We need to first set up that kind of infrastructure within the country that education should not be a challenge for anyone.
Okay. Would you like to add something, Faizul?
Yeah, I'll just maybe put across a different thought. I mean, an additional thought, not a different thought, but it's more on the soft skills and the collaboration. I think more relevant. Dr. Gupta highlighted the A side of the the students coming into the corporate and the industry world. That's more important. I think we have seen the culture that they have to adopt quite early in their careers to make a success story. I think that's key in terms of the collaboration that industry brings in. We have programs where we enable them understand the culture of a corporate working model, maybe for 6 months, 1 year, working with different programs, like doing workshops, doing trainings, and engaging them in different operating business opportunities. I think that's a bigger, I would say, a benefit and a great collaboration outcome that helps the students and the upcoming leaders and business leaders kind of develop into their actual growth in the industry. I think that's big area, which I believe is, I think, a differentiator outside of the technology and other skill sets we are looking at.
And just to add on, Faizul, NASSCOM is doing a massive exercise with Genpact. I'm sure you are aware of it. And the kind of impact that we are looking to create is massive. It's like engaging and employing around more than 20,000 students from a little EWS background, if I'm not wrong. So that's another big exercise that's how industry comes into the picture.
Yeah. Okay. So do you see that, what's the role of government and, policy makers here? Do you feel that, bureaucratic inertia is something which is impacting this ecosystem? Or maybe it is resistance to change?
At academic level, NEP is really talking about it. How far will we be able to catch it at even tier 3 cities is a little of my concern, but it's going to catch up. But other than NEP also, right now when we are talking of policy, there are so many of our students who are going in with policy groups to do research and all, which is also a big thing because the lens of looking at, that's also part of the industry, the think tanks and all. So once they come back, the lens of looking at education changes, which is really good. So I don't think it's a hindrance. It is supportive, but I guess we'll need to re-maneuver ourselves to match what is expected. But industry could be different.
I mean, I believe there's scope of re-looking at certain aspects of how they can also initiate certain programs that I kind of get that amalgamation going. I've seen within NCR a lot of such initiatives being picked up. I think we have been trying as Genpact, trying to do a lot of stuff as part of our initiatives. But I think it needs maybe some more energy to drive the outcomes, I think, yeah.
So you have observed any, do you have any collaborative model or something which you want to discuss?
Yeah, I think we have been kind of doing public releases on those initiatives. Very recently, we have had kind of engagements as part of the programs as apprenticeship programs for a lot of students. I think 5,000 plus is what I know as part of our public release. Those programs run from 6 months to 1 year, where we give them opportunities of having the experience, having the kind of knowledge of how the business works in different areas and domains. That's one. We recently, alongside NASSCOM, came out with the first AI Innovation Center. That's initially right now focused with how we run our AI outcomes for businesses. But I think we are opening it up soon for a lot of collaborations outside as well, just to develop how the AI benefits can be used by the larger ecosystem. And that center, by the way, is in Gurgaon. And we have many other global centers coming up already. So I think these are few of the operating models. And then our HR functions are also driving many initiatives alongside these education institutions, where they kind of engage with them. And we do some workshops at intervals with them.
So here, I would like to ask a question to you two. When we give internships, it's embedded in our training, in a complete education system, which is probably for 2 months. Whereas, so I know it's a smaller, that to leave an impact, it's not so easy. But when you talk about a 6 months or a year training, does it come post-qualification or does it come during the, because that's not part of how an MBA works or a BBA works. It's for two months so there's nothing that is scheduled in your systems for 2 months.
I think that's the post-curriculum thing that we are talking about.
So we are taking interns initially for that. Okay.
Okay. So this would be my last question, I guess. And I just want to understand, have you seen any innovative models which are working working between industry and academics, or you foresee some innovative models we will see in future that will, enhance the collaboration between the academics and the industries?
Having worked with private universities and public universities, I see a huge difference in the private universities. We are able to experiment a lot. So I remember teaching entrepreneurship courses, and in entrepreneurship course, the final assessment was on the ground. We organized a fete. We made them do, put up their stalls, show us the business, the ethics, and everything they had to prove, and make money also. And there was this competition also, which they had to survive in. That's where some of the industries, at that time, we were able to rope in. And, at a smaller scale, we were able to do that. So these kind of models can emerge, and that is available. But I guess our networks also, as an academic and as an industry person, we also need to, on a platform like this, maybe discuss and come up with a more newer, innovative idea. And I'm sure it should work. But they are already existing, and we are able to
like a mutual hub or something where the academics and industry, they have, collaborations and interactions, and they can share, they can do knowledge sharing, and then.
So it's happening at a smaller scale in newer universities, but as we scale up, I guess this is going to increase.
And just to add on, one new trend that I have seen these days, and that's a very welcoming trend in most of the academic partners that we are dealing with, is now they're coming up with their own COEs within the campus. So that's how that kind of handholding that we are talking about here is how to make these students industry ready. So they just aren't getting the internships, they are getting those internships within their campuses. They are dealing with the, these corporate guys within their campuses, everything that they want as a part of curriculum, as a part of their learning. So I think very correctly said by Dr. Gupta, such initiatives are already coming in place. And the best part is it's not just the technical colleges who are doing it, it's even the management colleges. One of my friends is also here from one of the management colleges, and recently they have also set up a COE in their campus. And I think we cannot expect a result overnight, but the process has already begun, I would say. Yeah.
So So before we go ahead for the questions from audience, I would like to have some concluding lines from you, Faizul, starting from you.
Yeah, I would say this collaboration needs a lot of impetus and not just focus on in the tier 1 cities, but also go beyond and go to tier 2, tier 3 cities. I think we need more power there in terms of this collaboration, which can bring in a lot of, I think that, I don't know, will the gaps be closed down, but it'll enable, I mean, I'm from a cybersecurity domain. We find difficulty in finding right skills. I think hopefully, not only in our domain, but other domains as well, that tier 2, tier 3 model and operating models will help us get more skilled people ready for their job.
From the academic perspective, I personally feel that we've also graduated from just knowledge dissemination to knowledge creation. And that knowledge creation is coming with collaboration now. No longer are we working in silos. So.
One last thing that I would like to say is there is no future that's going to come. You're already in the future right now. So I think what all we are doing here is working with industry. I think industry has opened up their arms, and the academia side needs to embrace it, because government is making policies, the kind of budget that you might have seen yesterday. Now they have come up, they have removed that angel investor taxation, right? So that gives a huge boost in terms of the startup ecosystem that we see these days. The kind of proposal they've got for internship and apprenticeship within this is commendable. So the changes are happening, but it's all of us present in this room, might be industry, might be academia, that we need to have a very focused approach. And I think we are heading towards the right direction.
Thank you so much. So, any questions from the panel? You're not taking questions. Okay, okay.
Please. Can we do questions later, please? We have our guest of honor coming who has to leave for the parliament. So we will do the questions post in the lunchtime. The panelists are there.
My question will be relevant to that panelist also.
I'm sorry, sir, but
So
we are
that's what I'm saying. It would be good for him also.
Sure, I'm sure the panelists.
I'm Dr. Diwakar Goyal. I'm chairman of Aero Academy, Aviation Science and Management. You see, we are talking about collaboration. It's a question of demand and supply. How many institutes in this country are focusing toward agriculture, dairy development, chemical, all these fields of discipline? Everybody focus on IT, computer science, electronics and all. You see, how many education institutes are collaborating in the form of discussing to formulate the customized courses, what the industry demands. I'm from aviation. You are just giving MBA aviation and all. What I will do with that? You give me the product. I say the example, I was invited in Jaipur when JK Institute was there. They customized one course, cloud computing in BTech, which is after computer science. They go for MTech and all. Because IBM says we'll finance it. We want 100 engineers cloud computing every year. So why the collaboration should not be in the form of customized? You discuss with the industry, make the curriculum, discuss with them what they want. Because it is a question of employability. Today everybody is going for computer science. I discuss, I recruit the people and all. What you have done, sir? BTech Civil. What year? I am working in an IT firm as IT analyst. What that civil engineer is gone? Where is that automotive engineer is gone? The country needs the industrial engineer, production engineer, dairy development, agriculture. It's all going in the name of IT and AI.
Anybody would like to do a quick 1-minute answer on this, because I'm just out of time, I'm sorry. Or was that a comment that we can take it later?
Sir, I'll maybe add, I think I agree to what you're saying, but I think it depends on how, the industry and the demand is paid out. I mean, you rightly highlighted the curriculums need to be custom. I think I fully agree to that. I've been a student and a journey for me to see how in industry demands are custom. But I agree to your fact, but there's no one single answer to this. I think it's a collaboration, needs a lot of engagement, a lot of discussions at right levels to get the right outcome.
You see, this question I asked with Mufti, Infosys founder. And his answer was, when IT I am paying the higher wages and all, go to the other industries, let them also pay.
Sir, I have a very good answer to that, but that might not be just one-liner, so I'll take it offline with you.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for that. And on that note, a very heartfelt thank you to our panelists.